Hey everybody, this is Coop from Demonic Legion and also Druki.net. I've got a 1750 point battle report of my Dark Elves versus Lizardmen. So my list for the Dark Elves, not what I typically bring. I've got a Supreme Sorceress who is a level 4 of life with a Dispel Scroll in the Ring of Hotek. Ring of Hotek, if you don't know, gives her magic resistance 3, as well as if the opponent casts a spell directed at the sorceress or a unit within 6 inches of her, uh, they miscast on a roll of double ones as well as double sixes. So I mostly like it for the magic resistance. I put her in with the executioners, so now they have a 4 up against magic missiles and direct damage and all of that. So that really helps preserve the numbers. My general's a Dreadlord, who's on a cold one. He's got a 1-up armor save, and then he's got the Ogre Blade, which gives him uh, +2 strength, so he's at strength 6. And then he has the Black Amulet, which is 60 points from the Dark Elves book, and it gives the bearer a 4-up ward save, and additionally, when fighting in a challenge, for each armor save, for each ward save I make with the Black Amulet, my opponent automatically takes a wound with no armor saves. So, cost 15 points more than the Talisman of Preservation for that extra effect. Um, I don't know if it's the best, but I decided to try it out. I thought it'd be kind of a fun thing to play with. Uh, the other good build for a Dreadlord's probably the Ogre Blade, other Trickster Shard, and Talisman of Preservation. That's probably the standard one, but I wanted to try out the Black Amulet. For core, I've got 2 units of 14 Witch Elves, each with a Musician and Standard, and one has the Banner of the Eternal Flame in case of regeneration units. My opponent didn't have any, so that was not a factor the entire game. For special, I had 30 Executioners with full command and Standard of Discipline, so the Sorceress goes in there, and their leadership 10 with the Standard, which is really nice. They're hard to break. And then I've got 9 Cold One Knights with full command and Banner of Swiftness. So my sorceress rolled up on life. She rolled a 1, a 1, a 2, and a 4. So I got Earthblood, which is regeneration spell. I dropped the 4 for that. I got Flesh to Stone. I took Throne of Vines for my 1, and then I think I kept Awakening of the Wood for my other 1. Dwellers Below wouldn't have been super helpful because his only big block was Saurus, and I didn't have any warlocks to soul blight them, so uh, Dwellers Below wouldn't have done too much. Regrowth might have been a decent option, especially for the Cold One Knights, but it's kind of an expensive spell, and I wanted to cast all these smaller ones. So, for deployment, on the right, I've got 14 Witch Elves, my big unit of 10 Cold One Knights with my general right here, this gold guy. I've got another 14 Witch Elves to the left, and then the far left, I've got Executioners, who are kind of in the middle of the board. My opponent has 10 Skinks with Javelins, another 10 with Javelins. His General, who's got a 1-up armor save. He's got a 4-up with Armor of Destiny, rerollable armor save because of Dawnstone, and then the other Trickster Shard. He's also got a great weapon, so he is not fun in combat. He's got a Bastiladon, his BSB, who's got Talisman of Preservation, his Salamander, who's way up here because he has Tenno Echo and gets D3 Vanguards. I think he rolled a 1. He's got a unit of Saurus over here. I think there are 20 of them. He's got another Salamander, Tenno Echo, and this bunker of Skink cohorts. 10 more Skink skirmishers with, I think, blowpipes. He's got a Razordon in the back, Ripperdactyls on this left flank. I have my Dark Riders on the left, and that is it. So, turn 1 Lizardmen. This was unfortunate. I really didn't want him to get turn 1 because of exactly this. He moves up a Salamander to be able to take a pretty nice shot on my Executioners. He just kind of cautiously moves everything up because he knows I want to charge and get into combat. He moves his Ripperdactyls up here so that he can get some flank charges if necessary, and He ends up killing 4 or 5 executioners with his salamander. The magic phase, he's not able to do much, mostly because I have my level 4 against his level 2. Turn 1, Dark Elves. So I try to make a lot of charges and fail with all of them. So my Dark Riders try to go into this Razordon, and they do not roll what they need. The Executioners just back up a little bit. I don't really need them at this moment, and I don't want to get Flame templated on again. I think these Witches try and go into a Salamander. He flees, and they fail their charge, so that's not the worst. These Witches try and go into his... Actually, I think they just move up. That's right. They don't try and charge. The Cold Ones try to charge into his Skinks. He stands and shoots, doesn't kill me with any, and I could not make it there. I think oh, actually, sorry. I think it's these Skinks that I had charged. I didn't need too much. I think I needed like a 9, and I just failed. For magic, I get up Throne of Vines and Flesh to Stone on these Dark Riders, so they're toughness 7 right now, so it'll be a little bit difficult for him to shoot them. Turn 2, Lizardmen. So he brings up his general way up here so that he can get a flank charge. His Skinks rally. His other Skinks move up a little bit to shoot at the Witches. He rallies his other Salamander and just kind of moves the rest of his units up. The Ripperdactyls fly over the Executioners and are facing the Witches and the Cold One Knights. I should also say, during shooting, he's not able to do much. I think he picks off a couple Witches, maybe. Turn 2, Dark Elves. This is where I made a terrible, terrible mistake. I decided to charge the Cold One Knights into his Skinks. And then I think if he had fled, I was going to try and redirect him to his BSB. And I needed like a 7 to get in there because I've got the Banner of Swiftness, and I just did not make it. What I should have done is I should have just marched them up so that they were out of the line of sight of this guy and too far away from the Ripperdactyls. But now they're stuck here, showing the flank to the General and the Ripperdactyls, who put the Toad Rage onto the Cold One Knights. So that was just a terrible mistake on my part. The Witches charged the Skinks, and they fled. These other Witches charged something, and I think it fled. And my Dark Riders just move around to go into the Teto Echo bunker if necessary. My Executioners move up a lot, and I make another mistake of not pre-measuring. My Sorceress is like 24.5 inches away from the Cold One Knights, so I can't get Flesh to Stone off on them, which is a real shame, because if they were toughness 7, that would make combat a lot easier. And I couldn't get regeneration off on them either. So that was just a really sloppy play over here. I just did not angle them correctly. I did not get the Sorceress in range. But, you know, whatever. He takes his BSB into my Witches. I'm really not concerned about that. I'm not going to kill him, but we'll sit there for a long time. He moves up a Salamander, and he turns to take some shots at the Dark Riders. He takes everything into the Cold Ones, which was just, when this happened, I was a little upset with myself for not just moving them. Magic, I don't think he gets anything off. So during the combat phase, I declare a challenge because he's just going to annihilate knights with his general. So his general versus my general, I do 3 wounds to him because I'm hitting at strength 6 and he's toughness 5. He's got a 4-up rerollable armor save and a 4-up ward save. He rolls the first 3 wounds and rolls like a 1, a 2, and a 2. So he doesn't save any of them on his first ward save, or his first armor save. His second armor save, he whiffs with all of them again. And then finally he rolls to ward and he saves just 1 of them. So he's down to 1 wound on his general. Just really poor rolling there. His Cold One is able to sneak through a wound on my general, which stinks. And then his general does, I think, 4 wounds to mine. So I save 1 with my armor save, and then I've got 3 that I have to re-roll ward saves. And I save all 3 of them the first pass, and in the second pass, I saved 2 of them, so I got super lucky there. So the Dreadlord's sitting on 1 wound, and because I saved 2, the Black Amulet automatically does 2 wounds to him with no armor save, so I had a really good chance to kill his general right then and there, which would have made a huge difference, but he ward saved both of them. And then the Ripperdactyls just went to town on the cold ones. I think he killed all 9 of them because they've got Killing Blow, Super Frenzy. He rolled like a 4 for their additional attack, so I think they're all hitting with 5 attacks because of all of this stuff. So that was just a terrible positioning on my part. After combat, my general flees and he catches them, and then he runs into the witches. So that was a tough break over there. Turn 3 Dark Elves. Reposition the Executioners. I think I might have actually moved them up a little bit. This might have been before movement. Actually, you know what had happened? I charged his Salamander, he flees, and then I redirect into his Saurus, and I ended up making it. I needed like a 9. So I'm into his Saurus Warriors with the Executioners, which is great. I don't have a shot after combat, but I kill all but I think maybe 6 or 7 of these guys, and he's able to stick around. Yeah, I do a lot of wounds. I don't have any shots for turn 4 Lizardmen. I can tell you what happens though. I end up breaking the Saurus and turning my Executioners. He ends up killing the witches and just kind of moving around. These Dark Riders went into his Teto Echo bunker just hoping that maybe I could get lucky, but they end up dying. Yeah, this is turn 4 Dark Elves, so I guess maybe this is the turn I ended up doing the charging. So I charge into... actually, sorry, this was turn 3 Dark Elves. Turn 4 is a little bit later. So this is basically what happens after that combat that I had explained. So he ends up running away with his Saurus, and I decide not to follow him, so he's got 2 Saurus fleeing over here. I was over here with my Executioners. I charged his Teto Echo bunker right next to me. He fled, and I redirected into his BSB, who was really close to me, and I ended up catching him. So I ran down his BSB, killed him, and then reformed like this. Not entirely sure why I reformed this direction instead of the other one, but doesn't matter. My witches, these are dead. I just had put them back on their tray over there. And turn 5 Lizardmen, he's not able to do much. He tries to cast some spells, but I can dispel them, and he just does a couple wounds to the Executioners. So I don't have pictures of 6, but basically what happens is I end up catching one more skink unit with my Executioners, and he's not able to kill them. They're worth 400 points in the round, and the Sorceress is like 300 and some points, so I've got like 700 points left in the table. He's got both of his Salamanders, or one Salamander, one Razordon. He's got his Bastiladon. These guys ended up fleeing. His Ripperdactyls are still on the table. His General with 1 wound, Teto Echo bunker, and I end up killing this Salamander with magic, the Awakening of the Woods, or whatever it is. So at the end of the day, I had collected 900 victory points from him, 930 or so, and he collected 970 from me, so it's pretty much a draw. He's up by like 40 victory points. Closing thoughts, right when we pulled our lists out, I knew I was pretty troubled. It was going to be a tough one to win with. I decided to go no shooting because the last game I played against him, I brought 4 bolt throwers and they just ripped through his units. And also Warlocks always do well for me, so I decided to go without the Warlocks or bolt throwers for one game. And that was tough. The bolt throwers really make a difference against Lizardmen, so it was hard not having them. The Warlocks I was okay without. And had I not misplayed the Cold One Knights, it might have been I might have been able to squeeze out a win just because they wouldn't have gotten crushed so easily. That was like 400 points that went down the drain, 500 points for nothing. Um, so some thoughts on how my units did. Obviously the Cold One Knights, you couldn't really see what they could do because they were misplayed so greatly. But in general, Cold One Knights are only okay, in my opinion. I think they're kind of a softer choice just because they're not fast cav. They 2-up armor save's not as good as what you would like. It really should be a 1-up armor save for how much they cost, 30 points a pop. It should be a 1-up armor save. With a 2-up, it just so easily gets up there, and they can't make their armor saves. So they're usually okay, but not the strongest choice. Executioners, I really like the Executioner block with the Ring of Hotek in there and Life. They are just tough to crack. They've got so many attacks. They chew through everything. If you can give them Flesh to Stone, they're toughness 7 with Throne of Vines up, so no one's gonna wound them easily. And on top of that, you can grow them back if you have regrowth. I didn't take it this time, but I did have regeneration, so they've got a 4-up, and which makes them hard to kill. And then on top of that, with the Ring of Hotek in there, they've got a 4-up ward save against magic, so it becomes really difficult to pick them off through magic. So all in all, I think that's a really strong unit. 30 Executioners, you don't need to put in a Cauldron or anything like that. I think 30 is the right number because you can take some casualties, but you don't want to be over-invested in the unit. And then the Ring of Hotek Life Sorceress in there is really nice. Witches, they couldn't really do much this game just because my opponent had nothing for them to go against. Witches do super well against Toughness 3 infantry that are lightly armored, but Saurus have a 4-up armor save and also Toughness 4, so it's hard for the Witches to really do great against them without magic. And I didn't have Soul Blight, so I didn't want to send them against the Saurus. And it's hard to catch all those skinks, so my Witches didn't really have the opportunity to do particularly well. I do like them in units of 14, though, because they get 28 attacks if everyone gets into combat. And they're small, so you can take some losses, and your opponent doesn't really think too hard to focus on them. And lastly, the Dark Riders. Dark Riders are okay. They're not really my favorite units. I think I'm just going to pick up some Harpies and use those, and maybe get some more Witches or something like that. A third unit of 14 Witches might be nice, depending on the situation. Or maybe I'll pick up some Dark Shards. But, yeah, the Dark Riders never, no matter how I use them, they never do anything super exciting for me. You get the double flee, but, I mean, my opponent just usually chooses not to try to charge them when I set up the double flee. So they can be good in certain situations, but I haven't found a ton of use for the Dark Riders. So that was it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you later.